All right, well, here we are at 1 o'clock, so why don't I officially greet everyone? If you don't know me, I'm Madalena, and I'm the DBE Program Chief. Welcome to our Transportation Advisory Committee meeting. We meet every couple months. The last 2 months really flew by here, and so now we are into March, almost spring. I will do a roll call quick, and then we'll get some words from Scott. So let me go down. Who I can see is here, which actually I'm starting with phone numbers. So 262-547 is on that line.
Hi, Madalena, John Zignago.
Hey, John. 715-748. That wasn't Larry. Is that Larry?
No,
Jeff. Jeff. Okay. So Jeff and Larry, welcome.
Yep.
And I see Brian Mitchell is here. Welcome to you, Brian. Beth Canestra.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon.
I'm good. Hello.
Good. And Leah Collins-Warchuk is here. Good afternoon. Don Miller is here at OES. Jill
Howdy.
Fairman is here. Hello, Don. Mary Ferlenza is with us from FHWA.
Hey, everyone.
Hey. Lori Green is here as our organizer. Thank you, Lori. John Zignago, you're here twice. Scott Lowry, as we mentioned. Mary Ann, hello at Wisconsin Interstate. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Paul and Don, Ijoma O'Rourke and Kathleen Panic from the DBE team are here. Good afternoon. I see Sarah Janice. Hello.
Good afternoon. Hello.
You're at Integrity. And Sharon Nix at Kramer North America. I saw, oh, there's Mike Nate. Okay, sorry, my screen keeps changing. You popped in out of order. So hi, Mike Nate, also Kramer North America. Nice to see you.
Yep. Hi.
Natalia Vega, DBE team. Okay, did I miss anyone in the roll call? Okay, well, thank you. Oh, wait, Becky Soderholm, I see you. Transit with Scott, welcome. Okay.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. Okay, Scott, what would you like to share with us?
Not a whole lot. First, an apology because I have to leave the meeting in 15, 20 minutes to go upstairs and meet with the secretary's office. But really, since the last time we met, the conference was held. So I want to, again, thank everybody. It's a lot of hard work. And once it gets started, I think there's a big sense of relief that all the efforts are paying off. And I think it was a very well run conference. I think it was great that on the second day that everybody was able to be there, or a lot of people were able to be there face to face and have some good discussions and networking. So I'm very happy about that. The other thing, I guess a couple other things is, as I've talked about the conference before, I really see this program and the resource needs that the department needs and the industry needs. I think this is so vital to be successful, to help bring new people into this industry, because there's simply is not enough to cover everything that we have to do. So it's great that we're working so hard to bring new people into this great industry. I see on the agenda some of the things as far as the DBE goal attainment efforts, and Madalena and Leah will cover that very well. From what I understand with the bill, the appropriations bill has been passed. Mary, maybe Mary or Ferlenza or anybody else, are you aware if the president has signed the bill yet?
We have not heard that he's signed, but I know that it's in transit, so.
Okay. So then, once next for the state of Wisconsin is, submitting our federal funding spending plan to the legislator and getting approval and getting that, the amounts in the different programs set so we can start to bring projects in. I know there's a couple of solicitations out there from I think for construction for fiscal 20 for this construction season and also for future fiscal years. So that's really all I had, Madalena.
Okay, well, thank you.
I'll hang
And
on for a while and listen, but then I'll be popping off in a little bit here.
okay, thanks. Well, hopefully all the hard questions come when you're still here. We're going to send them over to you. Okay.
And that's why I hit mute.
Sure. So then Lori Green, would you please give us a summary of the minutes from our last meeting, please?
Yes, ma'am. The last meeting was held on January 18th. Madalena announced that Steve Krebs had retired, and she welcomed the new DTSD Deputy Administrator, Scott Lowry. Then we went into the DBE program updates. Kathleen Panic, Good Faith Effort Analyst, reported 39 projects were led in 2021 with 11 good faith requests. Good faith requests decreased significantly in January 2022 with only 2 requests. OBOEC Director Leah Collins-Warchek explained that the administrative good faith effort requests decreased significantly in January 22 with only 2 requests. Okay, I kind of was trying to make a summary myself. OBOEC Director Leah Collins-Warchek explained the administrative reconsideration process to the group as it relates to requests being denied. Jeff Peterson raised questions about the denials. Madalena responded details could not be discussed because they were still in process, and stated that contractors can access webinars and utilize the Good Faith Effort Toolkit on the WISDOT website to help avoid pitfalls. Madalena thanked Kathleen for organizing the Good Faith Effort training sessions sponsored by WISDOT that were held a few weeks ago and had a great turnout from the industry. The next topic was the DBE program and letting updates, which Madalena presented DBE program insights from FFY 2021 as a follow-up from preliminary numbers provided during the last Transect meeting of 2021. And she stated DBE commitments went up 42 million in 2021 compared to 2022. And Madalena broke down the commitment demographics for the group. Madalena continued her presentation with general program updates for the neutral participation tracking for trucking. Madalena provided follow-up from a focus group meeting that was held to discuss whether commercial useful function monitoring is appropriate for DBEs that perform off-site hauling. WISDOT opened the floor for questions and comments from stakeholders, and we heard from Jeff Peterson, who asked about instances when off-site hauling would not qualify for DBE credit. And the discussion continued. Madalena reported procedural updates to begin with the February letting, and she provided those bullet points. The floor was open for questions from stakeholders. The DBE Attainment Report was presented by Maria Rojas. Industry issues check-ins and open agenda section with input from John Zignago, Don Miller, Jill Furman, Kyle Bell, Mike Nate, all provided in the minutes, and then the upcoming events calendar, and the meeting closed.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Does anybody have any changes or additions to those notes? I believe you received them in advance. Not seen any hands. Okay, then do we have a motion to approve the notes?
I'll make a motion, Madalena. This is Leah.
Thank you, Leah. We need a second and we can move on.
This is Sarah Janice. I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. All right. Thank you very much, Lori. We'll move briefly into DB program and letting updates. Jill's name just kind of carries on into this section. I haven't discussed previously anything, Jill, that we might cover, but I just hope that if there's questions, you'll be able to answer them. So we'll keep you listed there. Scott had mentioned that we recently had the annual event, and it really went well. It was very beneficial from what I could tell from all of the interactions that we saw, the networking, was particularly strong. There were DBE applicants in attendance who, one of them actually brought their application along to make sure we could put it right into Natalia's hands to begin the intake process. There was another young gentleman who one of our existing DBs had suggested become part of the program. He was there. They were, going to sessions together, meeting people together. So it was just, I think that especially after 2 years of us all being apart, it was really great to be in each other's presence again. So we look year to year for ways to improve and keep making it better. So stay tuned. But one of the things we did decide should happen in between that we've talked about for a while, but now realize we really need to figure out how to do it, is to have some additional networking sessions, maybe quarterly, that we can involve primes, maybe as hosts sometimes. We can host at WISDOT sometimes, but really just not letting it go so long in between. We need to network more than yearly. So we're looking at ways that we can facilitate that. It seems like we have a group of really engaged participants right now who will be interested in doing that. So we'll give you more information as we look into doing that, but always feel free to give us suggestions too for improvement, because you're on the ground and we really rely on your feedback to keep making the progress that we want to be making and need to be making in the program. So thanks for all those contributions. I will talk a little bit about lettings. I'm going to share my screen with you and show you the chart that we usually pull up. Okay. So let me try to make it a little bit bigger for you. Hopefully you can see. Okay. So we have added March now, but this should look familiar to you, at least through January. We have still had a pretty low number of non-responsive bids. We look at that based on the total number of bids received, so that will exceed the number of proposals, right? So we may have had 35 proposals with federal funds in March, but 92 total bids were received. 2 of those were non-responsive, and that was about 2% then of the total bids received with federal funding proposals. Good faith effort requests, we have 7. We were seeing that number go down a bit. Now it's gone back up as we adjust here, but still, and Kathleen still is optimistic that number will go back down. So I think we're at 30 overall GFE requests this year. Is that right, Kathleen?
Yes,
30?
Madalena, that is correct. We are at 30.
Okay, so 30 requests with 4 denied. So 26 have been approved. So that's our number technically moving forward, but I'd be really, really happy if we hold there. So let's all work together for no more GFEs. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're halfway through. So
Madalena, can you or Kathleen share where we were at this time last year with good faith effort requests? Do we have that information available that we could share with the group?
yeah, we do have it. Kathleen will have to pull it up, but yeah, we do have that. So
And
oh, go ahead.
Madalena, I just wanted to just go back and correct that we are actually at 30 approved GFE requests.
Okay, so then our overall GFE requests were 34. If we
30
deny.
Yeah, 34 requests with 30 approved is a better
Okay.
way to put it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, and last year we were at 50 GFE requests. So we are, right now at 30. So
if you can look at this time of year, that'll be helpful. So just you can pull up that one as
oh, okay,
kind of
okay,
talk,
got you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Go check that out. So what we do as we move through here, and just so you know as well, Jill, we're changing that number of proposals. So in the first column, total projects with federal funds, we change that once a proposal is pulled for whatever reason. So it might have started out at 37 and now it's 35. So we're correcting it as we move along for any that are pulled out. And then if they're relet, they'll just show up somewhere else in the overall. So I wanted to allow some time if anybody had questions about where we are at here with lettings or any other program questions. I can't see any questions, so.
Yeah,
Nope.
there aren't any that I see, Madalena. There's
Okay.
nothing in chat and I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. Well, I will stop sharing and let you know that we are going to work on, in between now and the April letting, we will work on a checklist for bidders to list common pitfalls. We'll also include that chart that you may have seen on the website that's make your bid responsive. That chart would also be included. And we just really want to make sure that common things we've noticed, you are making sure to check for so that we can make sure your bid is responsive. I see you have your hand up, Kathleen, so you have that number now.
Yes, through March of fiscal year 2021, we were at 42 GFE requests.
Okay.
Or 42 approved GFEs, put it that way.
Okay, so we had more than 42 requests because we had the 5 previous that had been, so then we had 47. Okay, thank you. So that, I mean, you know, so we're trending down. I feel like I saw a question pop up from Ugo, but it disappeared. Let me go to the chat. Predominant reasons for GFEs. Yeah, well, what we see, and I guess Kathleen can weigh in here too, but what we often are seeing is that there are different quotes that are given to various primes. And so oftentimes we could see that maybe another bidder met the goal, but they didn't receive the same quotes as the apparent low bidder. That can be for a number of reasons. We often find the reason is because they do a different type of work. So somebody who's primarily doing bridges, for instance, might get different quotes than somebody who was doing paving, those types of things. We are overall seeing very strong solicitations and efforts overall by prime. So in the cases where we don't see that, that's where you see the GFE denials. Do you want to add to that, Kathleen?
No, I don't have anything more to add, but certainly if I think of anything, I will chime in.
Madalena and Kathleen, I'm wondering if
Yep.
you could just talk a little bit more about what you mean by what you're seeing as far as strong solicitations, maybe give some examples of what you see.
Yeah, so I can address that. Over the past couple of months, I have encouraged prime contractors to take a look at their solicitation and email strategies. So it's something that I've been, I've given examples as far as an updated solicitation letter, updated emails, and I'm seeing that some of the prime contractors are implementing that and looking at different ways to implement their solicitation strategies. So it's definitely something that is like on my radar screen. And I think the prime contractors who have started to make those changes have seen some an uptick in good results.
Mm-hmm. Right, and one of those things that you had suggested in particular, Kathleen, the newsletter highlighting DBE achievements that the prime can claim, that those have been great. And we've seen some, you know, really, I thought it was good documentation coming through that should demonstrate to DBEs, you know, we really want to work with you. Here's our record. So, and we also tried to highlight those records at our annual event as well, because we are seeing this effort happening. We are seeing that some decisions are starting to be made outside of cost basis alone, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
oh, welcome Quinn Long. You just went big on the screen. Glad you joined us. How good. Yeah, so I think that back to Ugo's question too. I wanted to add that sometimes we are still seeing that there is a very high difference in cost. So while we could make an argument in some cases that really look at how that change, that difference in the cost is going to affect the full value of your bid. Sometimes it just can't be reconciled. It could be 200% higher, and it's just the prime has been unable to find that it's a reasonable cost difference. So we do still see that. We try to reach out as much as we can to primes then to ask them to please touch base with the DBE in between to talk about their quote, how they might be able to make it more reasonable in the future, different types of considerations that they should take into account if their quote was too high or too low, because we've talked about that before as well, where it can be very problematic if the DBE isn't taking into account all of the risk that they might be taking on. And the prime needs to make sure that they've factored all of that in so that they can complete the work. They're not going to, go bankrupt in the middle of the job because they just quoted too low and they can't pay anybody. So we do rely on our primes to be having that conversation with DBEs in between proposals and the lettings, and that is demonstration of good faith effort, which ultimately is helping the DBE to give you a good quote, so you don't have to put in a good faith effort request in lieu of meeting the goal. So we've seen much improvement all around. Is there anything else you want to add there, Kathleen, that you've seen in particular that has stood out?
No, I think that you have covered it. And I think that overall, I think primes are looking at the feedback that's coming back to them in the good faith effort requests that they have, and taking a look at that feedback and figuring out ways to implement it. And as far as solicitation, it's, looking at all of the solicitation and aligning that message accordingly across all the outward, facing information that DBEs receive, including websites, the emails that are coming from the prime contractors, and that solicitation letter. I think that is creating partnership, and the fact that prime contractors are highlighting that DBE participation and their DBE successes, I just think is really important. So I hope to see that continue as we move on into this fiscal year.
Great, thank you. I hope so too. And back to the responsiveness question and the document that we'll put out. Two things that stood out to us in this last letting that we want to make sure that you're aware of is that only DBEs who are certified as DBEs can be included on that commitment towards the goal. So a WBE, a MBE, a DVB or SVB or a TBE, any other of those acronyms that are not DBE will not count towards the DBE goal. So just make sure you're always checking that because those are not equivalencies. So double check that. Make sure you've included all attachment A's for DBEs on the commitment. You know that you have the ability to do an attachment A with the bid, an attachment A within an hour of the bid, or if you've submitted a quote or an incomplete attachment A, so it wasn't signed at time of bid or in that hour, you still have 24 hours, so 11 o'clock Wednesday, to submit the complete documentation. We highly recommend that before 11, if you've got time to do it, double check. Check everything, make sure you've got every document. If you got the bid in, check it again. Do you have everything? You've still got till 11 or till 12. Once the 12 o'clock time is passed on Tuesday, if you realize that you've submitted a DBE on the commitment and do not have the attachment A, you still have time for your bid to be responsive if you submit a good faith effort request. You would need to come into our to the inbox through e-submit within 24 hours or by 11 o'clock the next day. But the point is, you still have multiple chances to make your bid responsive. You just really need to do multiple checks to make sure that you had everything there. We want your bids to be responsive. We want to count every bidder. So please make sure you're double checking, double, triple, quadruple, and we'll also put out another checklist, and we'll make sure that we send that to the professional associations as well to distribute to their members, in addition to having on our website. So good discussion. Thank you. If I don't see any other questions, oh, but let me see, there's something in the chat. Oh, okay. All right. And thanks to Scott, he's off. Oh, I see a hand. Yes, Marianne.
Just a quick question. When the DBE attachment A has been sent, we typically send them with all our bids. Is it a requirement for the prime to return a countersigned back to the sub once the project has been awarded?
It's not required, but recommend the prime does that, and that the prime does let DBs know if they're included on the commitment. So at that point, the prime doesn't know if they're low or not. I'm submitting my bid, but in whatever time frame that's reasonable after having submitted the bid, let the DB know, hey, you're on the commitment. Therefore, if I'm as read low, it's very likely that you're going to be with me if this contract gets awarded and executed. So we don't have a requirement, but a strong recommendation.
And then the second part of my question is, if there is a project and things get eliminated or reduced or whatever, is there a percentage of reduction in the DB amount that at what point does it have to have a new attachment A?
Sure. So you're talking about along the life of the project, the contract's already been executed?
Right.
And there's a reduction. Yeah, I mean, it really will request a new attachment A for whatever that amount is. Once we are notified, we approve the reduction, then we will require the new attachment A comes in order to update and reapprove the commitment.
Okay, so there's not a percentage saying if the subcontract DBE amount is, say, $50,000 and it gets reduced by 10%, there's no like cutoff or, hey, Mr. Prime, from a sub, we're being reduced 10%. We need a new attachment A. So there's not like that.
No, what I'm saying is we don't have that type of a minimum. I mean, we will, as soon as we notice there's a reduction, if we aren't notified in advance, we will follow up. So it could be 5%,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So where you will, or where a prime will commonly see that compliance is starting to look into it is if there's 20% still left and it looks like we're getting into the end of that contract, we're going to try to figure out what's happening at that point very seriously. But each month the commitments are also checked. So we have a few different places at which we monitor that to make sure that the commitment is on track, and the project team is part of that too. So on the ground, project engineers. And so if you are attending those weekly check-in meetings too, that's a good time to be discussing commitments, because we're trying to catch any potential reduction as soon as possible to try to, one, head it off if there's a way to do that. If that's not what's best for the project and a reduction has to happen, then we will be holding the prime to a replacement of that commitment. So the sooner that we know, regardless of the amount, we're going to start following up on it. I hope that helps. Okay. So is there still another hand though? Let me see. I feel like, oh, John Zignago. Yes, sir. Hey, John, you're muted if you're wanting to talk to us. Okay, well, maybe his hand is up on accident. If you're having audio issues there, John, come back in when you can reach us. Jill, anything you want to add right now before we move off of letting?
No, I don't think so. I think things went fairly well. Like you said, your checklist will probably help just as a cautionary reminder, and giving contractors a reassurance that they still have multiple opportunities to check things to make sure that they're complete and accurate. There's no way for us to do that for them, so hopefully that'll help and help keep everybody going. The program's been doing very well, and like to continue to see it doing so.
Okay, thanks, Jill.
Mhm.
Okay, so why don't we look at our current attainment? Maria, are you here? Maria Rojas is our DB utilization engineer, and
Yes.
she has been working diligently, as has Ijoma O'Rourke, on making sure our attainment reports are updated. So are you able to share your screen, Maria?
Okay, let me try right now. And let me know if you can see it.
I can see it. Well, I see your calendar anyway.
Sorry. Take this away and okay. Now can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's start. I going to show you this is the overall attainment as of the percentage of the federal funds, this 12.99%. It is really the rough value, considering that I include March here just for giving you the sense of what's going on at this point. But like you heard before, we are processing still March. So this value is not accurate. So let me do something here. Just let me temporarily delete this one, and then we can work everything from March data. I have all the data from March. Is the percentage that we will have counting all the data for February. So this is actually, you will see here, we count there. This is, everything is based on the estimate for the construction 22 and consultant federal fiscal year 22. For construction, we have this amount, 834.4 millions of dollars, and we have been used 400, 400.5 millions of dollars of that. And for consultant, we have the department have an estimate of 131.2 million and use 58.7 millions of dollars year to date. So what does that mean for us is we have at this moment, we have 14 million. This is the commitment from consultant. We have 14.6 million of dollars out of the 16.2 or 3 required for consultant service. When I say required, we are talking about this percentage that we set for the triennial, 12.41%. So this is what we are right now as to February, 14.6 million out of 16.3 million for consulting and 52.9 million out of 103.6 million for construction. And this in total the 60.5 million out of 119.8 for the overall goals. In seeing the different way, we have reached 10.32 out of the 8.14 required for conscious. This is a construction because consultant, we just started setting goal for consultants. So before it was just everything was conscious. So now on construction, yeah, we have separate, as we can see here in this one. We were expecting 8.14 from conscious and 4.27 for neutral. So from that data, we have 10.32 out of that 8.14, and we have 2.10% out of the 4.27 required for neutral overall goal. So my opinion, I think we are really in good shape. We still need to be a little conservative, but it's giving me like a peace of mind. I know for sure, not to my boss, because don't tell Magdalena I say so, but she's worried all the time, but we are doing great. So I don't know, any question, anything that you want to add, Magdalena?
Yeah, thanks very much. And I think it was helpful there to see, what's the difference when you add March back in, because, it looks like, ooh, we're at 13.52. And Maria added in March, which, we still need to process the full letting, but it dropped then to just under 13. So we know this number is going to be in flux through the rest of this fiscal year, but we are feeling that we're trending on track towards meeting that overall goal. It means we can start considering lowering the goals that are assigned up front, because we're trending in the right direction. We know we will still continue to have modifications on the contracts. Well, how much is that, Maria, right now? Was it right around 8 million that has been collected in modifications following?
Okay, yeah, we have 7. This is the exact value. Let me show you. To operate this one, 7.4 millions.
Okay.
That is only modification, right?
Yes. And so, Marianne, this sort of answers your question too. When Maria's team works on those modifications, we'll take into account any reductions as well as additions. And so then that will be represented in this number here. So we've taken out anything that was under, but I believe, you'll have to remind me, Maria, I feel like it was only about 120,000 that were reductions for this up to this point right now. So, while we never want to see anybody's commitment reduced, compared to the additional amount of the 7.4 million, we are glad to see that the amount that had to be reduced is quite low. So, with that, any questions from out there about our current attainment? Okay. Oh, well, thank you, Maria. I think we're in a pretty good place. So we will keep you updated. As you know, we submit our reports. Our uniform report will come up in June. So when we submit that, then we'll also have the demographic information that we can share with you for all the commitments that have happened for the first half of 2022. So
Magdalena, somebody sent a question. I just see a question, but I don't know if it was on the.
Let me go to it. Thanks. Oh, there might be a very long. Oh, okay. It was John. He was having issue with audio. Let me go back and see if there was just.
Yeah, but there is on the text box. I see that Hugo has. Is there any breakdown on the Dbe percentage?
Right. So, I mean, you did just give the breakdown for both consultant and construction and then modifications. And then to further look into demographics, we'll have that in June. Okay, so I'm gonna go, I think that answered Ugo's question, but let me know, Ugo, if it did not. So John's question here, I'm just gonna read it for everyone. So, okay, so John is saying something that happened at Ignego during the February letting. We made the DBE goal on a project, and a few minutes before when the bid was due, we switched sawing contractors to a DBE sawing contractor. We used their numbers, but I did not sign them on the DT 1506 since we had made the goal and also knew this DBE. Okay, so he's got the DBE on the commitment. No, not on the commitment, but still use the DBE. Tried to get the attachment A. Okay. This is actually a really good point though, John, because I haven't gotten to your question maybe, but the 1506 that you submit with your bid is going to stand. So even if you had gotten the attachment A from that DB within the 24 hours, you wouldn't be able to revise your commitment. But what we would do if you were as read low and then ended up in award of contract, we at that point could add that participation that you had when you submit that attachment A. We could add that then as part of neutral participation, but whatever you had at bid is what we're going to take. So that's why we want to make really sure that everybody's rechecking their bids too, because those numbers can't be changed. Other than if you made an error and you actually, it should have been more or it should have been less, we'll change it that way. But, you know, we want you to be in the position where you've met the goal, right? And it sounds like here that was the case. So the issue was that you couldn't get the attachment A from them. We do always ask that DBs are responsive, getting that signed attachment A back as well. If you had put them on the 1506 and you did not get their attachment A, we would remove them. So that's the kind of situation we're talking about, where it's like, make sure then if you know you didn't get that attachment A, and you would submit a DT 1202 if you didn't meet the goal. So I know I'm talking in a lot of numbers here, so hopefully it's not just going over everybody's head. So we will put out another call to DBEs to make sure that, you know, wherever possible, you've got that attachment A signed if the DBE is comfortable with that. If they are not comfortable with that, then you will just have to work with them to get that attachment A afterwards, which hopefully that extra hour is helpful on bid day, so that if you did not have a signed attachment A, you would be able to tell them, I put you on the commitment, I need that attachment A now. I think that is one of the reasons where we see some resistance from DBs not submitting that attachment A, but you're right, sometimes just you don't hear back from them and they're not being responsive, as could be any type of subcontractor, DB or not, but we'll always try to work with the DBs to make sure that you know, they know how important this is, because you know your bid could be riding on it. So I hope, John, that I covered what you're talking about, and please note again if we missed something there. Yes. Okay. So John is commenting that it is best to get the attachment A's before their bid is submitted, because before the prime's bid is submitted, because it could lower the Dbe percentage, right, if you can't actually include them. So, but that is where, you know, you have to decide if you're going to take the chance, include them on there, and then later on have to submit the 1202. I don't know if that will be your circumstance, but hopefully the majority of the DBs are responsive, so you can include them on the 1506 and don't have to initiate that good faith effort in lieu of meeting the goal. Marianne?
Just a quick question. Is there a lot of pushback on especially like a sub submitting their attachment A with their bid? I find it, for us, I submit that with all my bids to help move things along, so that number one, I don't have to go back to it, and number two, the primes don't have to chase me.
Yes, and we do recommend that, but where I hear the most resistance from DBEs is that they have no way of knowing if they're on the commitment or not. If they don't make the prime come back to them and say, okay, I'm going to use you on the commitment. I need your attachment A now, which is sort of that issue you were raising, Marianne. Like, how do we know if we're on there? And we hear that frequently, that a DBE just won't know if they're on a commitment, sometimes, for months, and not from lack of trying to follow up or, trying to find out if they were included. I know that, sometimes it can be on the award side, there could be a delay, but WISDOT has made great strides to award these contracts much more quickly. So that time has been reduced in between now where you might have to wait and you're not sure.
So
Go ahead.
sorry, I would say, would it kind of eliminate all the problem if it's just a requirement that subs include their attachment A with their bid, and when DOT awards the project to the prime, that the prime, sends the countersigned attachment A back to the sub saying, yep, we submitted X number of dollars that you included on your attachment A, and kind of resolves the problem, doesn't it?
It's a good idea. I mean, we can look at a variety of different options. I hesitate when we say require because we are really guided by where the regulation takes us. So if we come up with a requirement that is not permitted or isn't outlined in the regulation, then we have to make a really good case for why we're going to require that. So not that it's outside the realm of possibility, but we have to think it through. And I think that most primes wouldn't object to that. I think we have some DBEs who would say, I'm just not going to submit my documentation to you, my attachment A's, until you've told me you're putting me on the commitment. So I don't know that the regulation would support us forcing that. But I like the idea that we're trying to think it through and increase communication here. So let's keep that dialogue going because we do need to do something. Will help DBEs to know that they're on the commitment and help primes to not get in this crunch of trying to track down and chase around those attachment A's in the 11th hour. Okay, so I've done a lot of talking here. Are you all still with me? I think it's probably a good time to go around and check everybody's pulse. Thank you, Marianne. Okay, so let's go to, well, John, you can't talk. You're the first one on my list here, 262. Brian Mitchell, what would you like to share with us? Well, I hear you there, but I can't hear you talk. All right, I'm going to mute Brian, and hopefully, Brian, you can get the audio working okay and come back to us. Larry, what would you like to share?
I can't imagine that there's that many that are out there for at least a couple months that don't know that they're being used, because I mean, I know our office and I know other offices too, that when we get the contract from the DOT, it's only a matter of a few days and subcontracts go out. So I mean, I can't imagine that time frame is that long.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are real good, Larry, on getting the contracts out, but this is Marianne again. I do have some primes that I get the contract like 2-3 days before the pre-con.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I hear it a lot, Larry, and it's a lot of trucking, but a few landscaping firms have been having this issue too, and in one case caused them to basically lose the contract because it was too far out and they couldn't, their suppliers aren't going to honor the prices anymore. So we see that kind of stuff happening, but thank you at JPS for being responsible there. Thanks. So Jeff, anything to add?
Well, this is the first time I've been on the phone for the meetings, and I can see a big disadvantage. Is there a way to email out your spreadsheet, you know, where that was explained the goals and the numbers and where we're at, and because there's no way to follow that when you're on the phone.
Sure.
Can you email that ahead of time with the
Yes.
agenda?
Yeah. Right. Yes, we can. I can send it to you. What we'll do, I think we're going to keep March off. I'll talk to my team. We have to just decide what to do because I feel like February is misleading because it's too high, but March is not fully processed, so that's not going to give you the full number. So I'll figure out internally what we'll do, and then we'll get out to the team.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Larry, were you going to say something? I thought
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Beth Canestra, anything to add?
No, other than I just threw a note in the chat whether we're considering going back to face-to-face meetings soon for this group, and you know, kind of understand that you know, folks are challenged with, you know, being on phones and things like that. So curious about that.
Okay. Well, Leah is actually the next person on my list. So Leah, that's a good question for you. Do you know?
Yeah, I could see us, Beth, doing a hybrid approach to this. So we, I'll talk with Madalena. We'll arrange it that way.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
That
Yeah.
sounds good. Thanks.
And Madalena, I'm wondering if maybe we can send the report that Maria sent, maybe why don't we send it out when we get that, when we process the information for March, and get that out to everyone. So that means there will be a delay. That way we'll have much more accurate information on that report versus deciding, you know, do we add it or not? Let's just go ahead and process the rest of March and get it to everyone. So hopefully everyone will be okay with that. So there'll be a slight delay, but at least you'll have better information.
That's good. So it will be, yep, it'll be delayed because we still need to process our good faith effort requests. And once we get through that, then we'll have, we'll be able to say where we're at. Okay, thank you very much. Don Miller.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for tracking mentor protege. I know we're about to go into another round where we will put out the call again. So I don't know if you want to mention anything about that.
Yeah, we're just kind of getting done with the first 8 mentor protege pairs after 2 years for them on the construction side. And we're going to keep monitoring them until the end. Many of them end in May of this year. But some of them will probably choose to go further with their mentor protege more than the 2 years just because they have other things they still want to work on. So that's a good thing. And then Benji, I know, is looking at on the consulting side, putting together some mentor protege pairs there and also adding potentially a few more on the construction side. So we're excited about that, and we will continue to monitor that and see how that goes and report out.
Great. Thank you, Don. Jill Fairman, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just wanted to let you know, I guess I'm going to be in the process of making the awards for the first round of awards for March. So that's going to be able to allow you to process some of your stuff a little bit quicker. Probably about 80 to 90% of them will be awarded by the end of the day. So
great. Thanks for that update.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Forlenza. What should we know? What's going on with FHWA?
Well, what's going on with FHWA is that we're waiting to hear more details about some of the new programs, which include some workforce as well. We're really pleased that WSDOT's got their oar in the water in quite a few of the workforce initiatives, which for all the reasons we talked about earlier today, and we heard at the DBE conference last week, both Thursday and in person Friday, that workforce is something at all levels that we're all thinking about and want to continue to build that capacity in the DBE and other areas as well. And then we've got some good news. We have successfully hired a civil rights specialist coming to Wisconsin. So many of you, several of you on the call got the opportunity to meet Jada Bigham in person at the DBE Networking Summit on Friday, a week ago Friday. And she will be moving from Virginia. She'll be reporting to us the last week of this month, and we'll be working remotely a bit while we work on her relocation. But I'm really excited to have Jada come join us on the Wisconsin team, and we'll continue to keep you updated. And hopefully by the time we meet next, she will, if not physically be here in Wisconsin, be very close. So that's my big news for today.
Great, wonderful update. Thank you, Mary. And thanks for being our liaison for this last year. It's been great to be working with you.
Absolutely, and thank you. And I expect that I'll stay involved in some things as well. So
good. Yeah,
thanks.
I'm going to be reaching out to you now and then for sure. So thank you. Lori Green, anything to add?
No, nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. I think John, are you having an audio issue still? I'm assuming so. Put something in the chat if you want to add. Kayla Beckham, maybe you could introduce yourself. Kayla is DBE and we recently talked, and I'm so happy you joined the meeting. Is your audio working okay? Kayla?
I'm here. Sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yes. So, I heard you for a minute, but then you went off.
I'm sorry. I was walking into my office. I had stepped out. Okay. I'm here. I mean, this is my first meeting. It was informational.
Maybe
Especially
you could tell where you're from, your company.
Oh, sorry. I am Kayla, JH Alliance. We're a dump truck company. We're a new DBE, a new certified company. But we have been in the dump truck industry for 9 years now. So yeah, that's the overview of us.
Good. Well, I'm so happy you joined us, and I hope that maybe we'll be able to talk further about mentor protege possibilities. And this meeting is a good time for you to come and share experience, and also get to meet other contractors who join on the call here, as well as WISDOT staff. So welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Kyle Beld, I think I missed you earlier. Hello, my friend. How are you doing?
Good. I had to join a little bit late, but there's a couple things I picked up on as we were going through here in not getting the notification to those DBEs we use when submitting our bids. And it's a little bit of nature of the times in that as soon as we know that we're a low bidder on something, we'll send out a letter of intent that says, hey, we used your quote on this. If and when a contract is awarded, we fully plan on using you and executing a subcontract at that point in time. That way, we're not subject to any of those pricing changes that tend to change these days in a matter of hours. And it also gives notification for those individuals who are experiencing significant backlog right now to kind of figure in when that's going to fit within their schedule. So it's a benefit to all parties involved just to get that notification out there to any subcontractor, supplier, once you're low on a project.
Thanks for that. I tend to think so too, but then I will remind myself that because I'm not in this, I know I could make some assumptions that aren't necessarily based in the reality of the thing itself. But it's good to hear from you that perspective as well, because I feel like there is a way that we could make it work that works for everyone. So thank you. Marianne, anything else to add?
No, I think I've said enough already.
Okay, thanks for participating.
But thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike Nate, it was good to see you. And
Yes.
at the
Uh,
networking event, how are you?
Good, good. I don't, I kind of, Kyle said pretty much exactly word for word what I was gonna say, so that's kind of, we, just gonna make a better effort to make it as timely as possible. I think we try to, but, there might be an occasion where, maybe it's a little bit slower, but again, we certainly want to let everybody know because we want to avoid that conflict of, you know, price changes and escalations and whatnot, because we're all in the same boat. So we try to make that timely, but definitely is a good reminder to make sure that the information flows downstream too. So.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Paul Nadon, I know I introduced you to someone as our trucking specialist at the annual event.
Yes,
Thank
indeed.
you for indulging me. We still are kind of in the middle of having an actual trucking specialist, so Paul defaults to that since that was one of his previous hats. Anything that you would like to share with the group?
Actually, no. This was more of an enlightening follow-up, just to keep industry abreast of what we're doing, and yeah, that's just it. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Paul.
Not a problem.
Jomo. Jomo.
Hi.
Sure. Hi.
I don't have anything for now. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Jomo. Anybody, though, who does have questions on e-submit or needing to get approval to use e-submit, follow up with Ijoma, please. You can use DB Alert, but we have moved to e-submit for anything that's coming in after bid. So please follow up with her. I see there is a hand up. Let me go see who it is.
It's Lori.
Oh, hey, Lori.
Hey, I'm just letting Kayla know that Don Miller has a message for her in her chat, just in case she couldn't see it. And I welcomed her in the chat. She might not be transitioning over to the chat to get her messages.
Oh, okay. Thank you for pointing that out. And let me.
Thank you. I'm going into the chat now. I didn't know that.
Oh, great. Good. Thank you. Make that connection there. And Kathleen Panic, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to all the primes that are looking at their GFE efforts, especially their DBE outreach efforts. It is making a difference, and that comes in a lot of ways of updating your solicitation letter, updating your emails, reaching out to DBEs between bid lettings. All of those, kind of small things all add up to something big, and that's obviously meeting the DBE goal on a proposal to proposal basis. So please keep up the good efforts. Again, any questions whatsoever regarding GFE, I am always here to answer your questions, provide any guidance that I can provide. And I have enjoyed all of my one-on-one sessions that I've had with the prime contractors, a lot of really good conversation and a lot of really good results that I've seen across the board. So just wanted to add that.
Great. Thanks for adding that. And Kathleen did bring up the one-on-one sessions. So we do offer those, and you can get them more than once. I think that may have even happened already, where somebody wanted to come back and just make sure that they were really clear and how to best demonstrate good faith efforts. So that's a great resource for you. Thanks, Kathleen. Quinn Long, thank you for being here. Would you like to add question or comment?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks again for the award the other week. It's been really good in the DOT industry and outside the DOT industry. No, I don't know. The things I kind of want to talk about could probably go for another hour. But I won't waste anyone's time today. So can I get a PowerPoint or a file of the spreadsheet you guys shared today?
Yes, we'll send that out once we finish processing the final process of the March letting. Then we'll send that to everybody.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, well, Carla, well, you just popped on my screen, so maybe we'll jump to you quick while you're up there. Welcome. Would you like to say hello to the group?
Hello, this is Carlo. I haven't been to one of these meetings in quite some time, but I'm always glad to participate and hear what's upcoming and what's new in our industry. Thanks.
Great. You want to remind everyone what company you're from?
Oh, sorry. I own a company that's got my name, Carlo Electric Sales. We're an electrical supply company in South Minneapolis. We've been doing this for over 31 years. We service the entire state of Minnesota.
Great. Carla's firm is the DBE firm. Thank you for joining us. We're always happy to hear voices from DBEs and really encourage you to participate whenever you can. So thank you for being here. Lori, do you have your hand up again, or is that from before?
Yeah, that's from before. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, Rosalind Roberson. Hello. You've recovered from the annual event planning?
I'm still in recovery, but I'm okay. Thank you everyone for attending the annual event. I'm still doing some finalizing and doing certificates. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Roz. Roz has had a little bit of a break, and now she's right back in it. Yeah, I know. It probably feels like a whirlwind last week. Thank you. Maria Rojas, would you like to add anything else?
Well, yes. During the annual workshop, I also received like a few comments from DBE asking me if there is any way that we can help them to get the notification from the primes. And this is an idea that I didn't have time to discuss with you, Magdalena, but we can maybe, I don't know if that's possible, but we are planning to send the approval of the DT 1506 to primes. And that's something that maybe, if that's possible, we can send it also to the DBE because this is a mutual agreement. So if that's something that will help them, we can do that if it, like I say, if that's possible. So it's just an idea that we can discuss about it.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about it. I want to touch base with Jill on that, but yeah, I could see that that's a potential way to do it. I see a hand. Is it Jill? No, okay. A hand came up. Ugo. Yes, sir.
So first of all, good afternoon. My Wi-Fi is a little limited this afternoon, so I'm gonna probably turn the Am I coming through clear? Or am I breaking up?
Yeah, it's breaking up a little bit. Nice to see your smiling face, though.
We will hopefully that improves now that the camera's off. But no, a couple of things. First of all, welcome AH Alliance. Kayla, it was great meeting you at the event last week, and I want to make sure that George follows up with you from NAMEC. Mary, thank you again. It was great seeing you. Thanks for your continued participation and support and the introduction last week at the event. And then I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of I think just the last comment also earlier about some of the solicitations, and I think somebody mentioned about some of the primes who've had success with DBE firms, and it was also resonated at our board meeting, our NAMEC Wisconsin board meeting yesterday, where we talked about, you know, and obviously we're doing so much more. You know, we're sending so many more emails, so many more solicitations, phone calls, trying to connect our DBE firms with the primes, with the opportunities. So please keep sending them through. But we talked about to say, you know, what's working. You know, how do we close the loop and find out? You know, so if some of the primes can talk about when they're able to have success locating a DBE firm on a project, and obviously all the way through culmination of completion of the project. But you know, but how did it work? You know, was it through a solicitation? Was it through a phone call? But if we can get some of that feedback of what we're doing that's working, so that we can start, you know, capitalizing on it. You know, so you know, but that was one of the things that we discussed during the board meeting yesterday was like, you know, hey, what are we doing that's actually working? And again, you know, we don't know. We're doing as much as we can, but obviously if we can work smarter, you know, everybody likes to work smarter, not harder. So so what that success looks like would be great. And then last but not least, I know you mentioned June for the breakdown in the demographics of the DBE participation. I think obviously, as you know, I'm kind of redundantly consistent about this, but is there any way that we can, and again, our stakeholders are, you know, they're always asking, you know, why does it take that? Why is there always a lag for us to have those numbers? And it's great that we're hitting these DB participation goals, but when we have to wait 2 to 3 months to find out, hey, what does that mean? How many, you know, African American owned business? How many, you know, how many Hispanic businesses? How many? You know, the list goes on. What does that look like when we're hitting these DB participation goals? That information is obviously very important for us. You know, so if there's any way to make that information more readily accessible or more expeditiously accessible would be great.
Sure.
Natalia,
Yeah.
can I jump in and respond to that
Yeah.
last point? Ugo, this is Leah. My only concern about that is if we put information out that's too early and it gets out there, it's not accurate information. Once we submit it to federal highways, that is the official information. And so I always like to get official information out to everyone. So I'm really concerned about getting anything out there too soon. I think, you know, what we're able to do, you know, what we've done with the DBE Stakeholder Advisory Group in the southeastern part of the state, we've been able to kind of talk about, you know, which DBEs are participating on projects and breaking that down by demographics. So I'm just a little concerned about getting information out there too early and wanting to make sure we share with everyone what we officially share with federal highways. Because once we submit that to federal highways, that's the official documentation, which they review and they approve. After they see that from us. So I just wanted to kind of give you that perspective.
No, I agree.
It's not that we don't want to share it. I just want to make sure we're giving you accurate information. And again, I've seen information out there that we've shared too prematurely, and it's like it's viewed as official when it's really not.
Yes, I mean, definitely accuracy is highly important, and it doesn't it's counterproductive for all of us for it to have non-accurate information. So yeah, I mean, if there's any way that it can be, you know, shortened where it's not 2 or 3 months, you know, that's great. But you know, but again, obviously the goal is to have accurate information. So I concur 100%. None of us it's more harmful and detrimental to our goals to have, you know, accurate information also. So I agree.
Yeah, thanks to both of you on that. So Ugo, we can always, you know, commit to being able to share that information twice a year in full program, and that will include consulting and construction. And then there's some of that individual project analysis that happens in Southeast region that we do that deeper dive. And we can look at things in real time. But as Leah said, and as you agree, we want to get data out there that is accurate and not misleading in any way. So thanks for your patience, and we're working on it just around the corner, really. We're closing out March, and then we're starting into data collection and analysis. So thank you for that. I wanted to just come back quick though. Ugo, you were saying you want to find out what works. Is that sort of an open question for this group? Like, are you thinking maybe that would be a discussion topic for us? Who is that question posed to in terms of what are we putting out there and what's working?
Yes. No, yeah, however you feel is the best way to approach it. I mean, but I think we all agree that you know, that the more information from the other side, I think would be useful for all of us. So if that's a question better posed for this group, or if that's a question better posed for the stakeholder advisory committee, you know, but you know, whichever, you know, this is what you guys do for a living, so I'm not gonna, I mean, but I think it's something that I heard resonated today, and I don't think it was a coincidence that it was something that we had a good portion of our board meeting discussing yesterday. You know, so you know, we only have so much time. We only have so much time in the day. We're all business owners. We have no full-time employees. So whatever we can do that's more beneficial, we definitely want to.
Right, like you said, work smarter, not harder. Okay, thank you. Sarah, Janice, did not forget you. Would you like to add anything?
Just kind of agree. It's been a good conversation today. I wanted to say hi to Kayla. We had the opportunity to meet her at the event, and really excited to have her on in the DBE program. So hi, Kayla, and welcome. And then just to go back to like what Kyle and John said, you know, it is nice to have the attachment A with the quote submitted. And so what we try to do is, even if we can't get it out that day, even after the bids are read and we're read low, you know, I try to reach out and say, hey, you were on our commitment. If you have any questions, please reach out to us, and you know, we'll be back in touch after we get award. So, you know, I hope that helps, and it's kind of just that extra step to make sure that we're communicating and they can plan accordingly. So yeah, that's all I have to add.
Great, thank you. Thank you for adding that both. I'm glad you were able to meet Kayla too. Nice. Sharon Nix, how are you? Anything to add? Well, I see you're unmuted, but maybe you're having an audio issue too. We've had so many audio issues today. Well, then hello from Sharon to our group. Sorry about that, Sharon. Becky Soderholm, what would you like to add?
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to let you know that I do work in the transit section, and we, excuse me, are required to do a 3-year DBE goal with and we are going to be working on the spring, and so stay tuned for the May meeting. I'd like to get on the agenda in May to talk about our draft DBE goal and get your feedback.
Wonderful, perfect. And then you can stay in touch with Paul to let him know when you'd like to have information posted on the web too.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're at the end of the list here with Natalia Vega. What would you like to add, Natalia?
I don't have anything to add. Thank you. It was a great meeting.
Thank you. I know Natalia is going to be working on some ways to improve recruitment and certification tools. So stay tuned as we share more of that information with you in coming meetings, because we can all work together to do more recruiting and also to identify areas of expansion for our existing DBEs. So yeah, that's one of the other irons we have in the fire for recruitment and expansion. So thanks to everybody. Did I miss anyone who might want to comment? Even if you had a comment before, it's okay if you want to comment again. Don't see hands. So, okay, well, I don't have additional information to add right now. I think that we've really gone around to cover all of the areas. I'm thinking Matt will be with us next time. Matt Grove from WTBA can share some insights from that association, and our next meeting is Tuesday, May 17th. So with that, maybe Leah, you can help me thank the group and send everyone on the rest of their day.
I can do that. First of all, I think that what Ugo suggested about maybe creating some discussion time to hear from primes, let's build that into our next meeting agenda. So we can do that at this meeting, Ugo. We'll carve some time in for that. I think that's a great idea.
Great.
And I just wanted to take the moment to thank everyone for your time. I know how busy everyone is. This was a really good meeting, great discussion, lots of great feedback. We are doing well in the DBE program, and it's because of all of you and all of our stakeholders that we work with. So we appreciate your collaboration with us. We also appreciate the transparency, your honesty, and pushing us to continue to make this program the best program it can be. So again, thank you all, and we look forward to our next meeting with you in a couple of months. So have a good rest of your day.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Take care.